What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the 2 Count. It is your boy Charlie here, and with this episode, I want to break down for you what happened on Monday Night Raw. Not from the perspective of reviewing, the entire program or going with you on a match-by-match basis of what I thought of the overall show, but more about the implications of what happened in the opening segment and what might come in the following weeks. So the show started off with the McMahon family entering the ring, starting with Vince McMahon, leading to Stephanie, leading to Triple H, leading to Shane. And the four of them stood united as they announced in one voice that they are going to start listening to the WWE Universe and start taking our opinions into consideration as they build out the program. It's a new era in WWE. Now, obviously, how much of that is true remains to be seen. What we saw over the past few days was a couple of good matches and a couple of things that we thought were certainties become uncertain, like rematches right after a person loses their championship, which we saw happen in the case of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. On Monday night, we saw that happen with the Authors of Pain as they had lined themselves up for a tag team match. So in terms of maybe just the optics up front, they're making changes, but how much the show is going to change, that remains to be seen. The first thing I want to talk about is the call-ups from NXT, because I feel like that's incredibly important. They lost Roman Reigns. They had lost Kevin Owens. They had lost Sami Zayn. They had lost a tremendous amount of talent over the past couple months that really is hard to mask, and it's part of the reasons why the ratings declined. Now, another reason the ratings declined was because they were basically showing us the same damn matches over and over again, week after week, month after month, time after time. So all of us were getting sick of seeing it. It's why people were jumping and looking for alternatives to WWE programming, because at the end of the day, why are you going to tune in to watch the same thing? So part of their solution was to inject the WWE roster with a set of new talent, some fresh performers to give us new matchups, to give us a new look on the product. Now, in theory, that sounds great. To me, I think they missed the ball on the talent that they will be calling up to the main roster. I feel like there were so many better choices that they could have made. Now, granted, from a perspective of NXT, they're keeping all of their main guys and their main storylines tied in tight, but let's look at who's being called up. So to me, the biggest addition to this entire, influx of NXT talent would be EC3. I think EC3 has been ready for the main roster since the day he signed to NXT. He didn't really do much in NXT. I think his whole time there was to just polish him up a little bit, get him reminded or refreshed on the way that WWE works, and get him back up to the main roster anyway. But if you're looking at the guy that has the potential to make the biggest impact out of all the performers, I would say that the guy is Ethan Carter III. He's the one decision that they made that I can honestly agree with. If booked right, I think he could be a tremendous asset to the main roster, whether it be Raw, whether it be SmackDown. In my personal opinion, he probably is better off going to SmackDown, just because I think they're going to have more for him. And also, I think another one of the talents is going to Raw. So if you're looking for a balance of equation, you'll have EC3 going to SmackDown and Lars Sullivan going to Raw. That said, I do worry about EC3 and his character a little bit. They've been booking him as a face down in NXT. One could hope that if he returns to the main roster, he will be a heel, because I think there is a chance for him to occupy a dominating heel slot within the show. Right now, from a heel perspective, SmackDown is suffering when it comes to heels. They haven't established Andrade Cien that much as a heel yet, although they should. Nakamura is a joke of a character at this point, which is sad to say. And, I mean, they could refuse him. Samoa Joe gets big opportunities and loses, and has already had a bunch of really good title matches with AJ Styles, and now you have a heel champion. So I think from a mid-card perspective, if you inject Ethan Carter III, you could give him a nice run on SmackDown as a heel, and I think that's the route they should go. The next guy up is Lars Sullivan. Now I'm going to be honest with you. Lars Sullivan to me screams 80s professional wrestler. I have not been impressed with him in any way, shape, or form in any of the matches I've seen. He is an absolute beast. He does fit the mold that Vince McMahon traditionally likes. So, honestly, I'll give him a shot. They're probably going to put him on Raw to fill that beast mode. You'll probably get matches of him versus Braun Strowman, which would be really interesting to watch. It'll be Beast versus Freak, and there'll be some nice build-up to that. As a matter of fact, most of the lead-up has hinted that he'll be going to Raw anyway. So I don't see this as much of a big call-up because it was something that was intended to be done before they decided to shake up the rosters. And at the end of the day, I'm not the biggest fan of Lars Sullivan, so I'm not sold on that potential call-up. The next guy, or the next woman, should I say, that they'll be calling up is Lacey Evans. Now, she'll be going to Raw because, honestly, we've already seen Nikki Cross make an appearance on SmackDown. Now, in terms of Lacey Evans, if you were going to tell me you were promoting any woman from the NXT roster to WWE, I would not put Lacey Evans at the top of the list. She's not bad. She's not great. She probably needs a little bit more time to work out her character. At the end of the day, I'm not the biggest fan of Lacey Evans. I put her in the Lars Sullivan category of, potential mid-carder at best. Should be jobbing out to some of the better faces like Bayley or Sasha on Raw, and giving them a little bit of a boost. But again, not going to be a tremendous game changer. And what both of these shows need right now is game changers. They need Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era. They need Ricochet. They need someone that could come in and instantly become the focal point of the product. And I'm sorry, Lars Sullivan, Lacey Evans, not it. So again, that's my thought on Lacey Evans. Not really a big fan of that call. Nikki Cross makes a whole lot of sense to me. So Nikki's exhausted her, time in NXT. They should have called her up initially when they called Sanity up. Sanity's lost a lot of steam on SmackDown, like a lot of talent has. And part of that's probably because Nikki wasn't there. Nikki was a very big part of Sanity's overall aura. So I'm going to be happy to see that she's reunited with Sanity. I think, again, that makes the most sense. And at the end of the day, I'm really happy that she'll be joining Eric Young and Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf and reforming what Sanity should have been from day one. We saw on SmackDown this week that Sanity had come out and attacked the Usos and the Good Brothers. So maybe this is the start of Sanity being Sanity. The next call-up is a tag team, and it is Heavy Machinery. Now, again, another meh call-up. Heavy Machinery is a decent tag team. They were a focal point on NXT programming, never won the big strap, put up a couple of good matches over the course of their time there. But again, not going to make a tremendous impact on the roster. People will not be tuning in to see Otis Dojovic and Tucker Knight. Just not happening. They'll be a mid-card to low-card tag team at best. Maybe they'll be featured on programming for a few months, and that'll be the end of it. So, again, not really the right choice to call up if you're trying to infuse the roster with talent and listen to your fans. The last, and I think honestly that's it in terms of their list of call-ups. No big impact names. If they were going to be doing this and doing it the right way, there were several names that they could have taken out of NXT, put into the main roster, and maybe had them run double duty, or wrapped up their storylines very quickly in NXT and gotten them up to the big show. Those names include the Velveteen Dream. Velveteen is absolutely ready for the big time. He is a money act. He would really draw eyeballs to the show. There's no doubt in my mind that Velveteen Dream could be called up tomorrow and be a star. So instead, you keep him in NXT, which I get, that's Triple H's show and it's doing fantastic. It's the better show. But if you're really trying to put more eyeballs on Raw and SmackDown here, like you said that you are, Velveteen Dream is one of your guys. The next guy, Aleister Black. Aleister's already won the championship. I realize he's involved in a feud and he's going to wind up probably challenging for the title again. That's all well and good. But if the goal is to make Raw and SmackDown better, you have to get your best talents up to Raw and SmackDown and feature them in a manner that makes the most sense. So far, I would have Aleister Black probably going to Raw, and I'd have the Velveteen Dream going to SmackDown. I'd call up the Undisputed Era. Now, granted, I realize that O'Reilly and Fish have the belts, but if the long plan here is to put the title on Cole and then get him up to the main roster, get him up to the main roster right now and put the title on him. Do you not realize that if you were to call up the Undisputed Era, and whether you put them on Raw or you put them on SmackDown, I don't really care which way you go on that one, they would instantly shock the system, right? And I'm not just saying that because I'm an indie mark that loves Adam Cole. I'm saying that because all four of those guys are ready, all four of those guys are fantastic workers, and all four of those guys give you an endless number of matchups week after week that you could utilize to keep people interested in the product. You could put Kyle O'Reilly one-on-one with people, Bobby Fish one-on-one with people. You could put Roddy Strong one-on-one with people, and of course you could put Cole on one-on-one with people, and it's going to instantly give you fresh matchups week after week. So I completely am against the call-up moves that they've made. I think the ones that they made were basically just Triple H saying, we don't need these people in NXT anymore, take them, and that's ultimately what you're getting here. You're getting a freak of a man who's got a boring persona, a former military, all respect for the military, a former military person that they love in Lacey Evans, who isn't really that great yet. You're getting Nikki Cross, who should have been called up a long time ago. You're getting a tag team that kind of had run its course in NXT to begin with. And you're getting one guy that possibly could have an impact on the main roster. So, in terms of the change that they plan on making by infusing all this young talent, they infused the wrong talent. So, move number one, completely wrong. Sorry, guys, you got that wrong. The next piece is that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be returning to the main roster. Now, you want to talk about a lift, that's a tremendous lift. But how they handle it is just as equally important. If we see the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens that we saw when they left, it's going to make no difference whatsoever. Sami Zayn was in a boring-ass feud with Bobby Lashley, boring me to tears. Where the hell is the Bobby Lashley from Impact Wrestling? Because this guy is not him. And then you've got Kevin Owens, who they literally destroyed, neutered, killed Kevin Steen like it was no man's business. I don't blame the Elite for wanting to form their own federation. If the option is form your own federation, have full creative control where they won't destroy you, keep control of being the Elite, keep making all that merchandise money yourself, why the hell would you sign with this product? I mean, end of the day. So they could instantly fix the products in a couple of minutes, in a couple moves. You have Drew McIntyre doing fantastic. Kevin Owens should return as Kevin Steen. He should be the badass that we saw in NXT. Make it that the time on the shelf, the injuries that he faced, make him... We're in an ambiguous era. There doesn't need to be heels and faces. Make him a babyface. That's a badass. What we had claimed for Roman Reigns for the longest time. Have him come back and one-on-one, over and over again, just lay people out. And you want to put Zayn with them? That's fine. Or you could have them have a conflict together and start a war that way too, again, between them, because at least it's interesting. But the return of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens could be bigger than any of the NXT call-ups, including EC3. So that puts you in a really good spot from that perspective. So I've given you the NXT call-ups now that are useless. I've given you a return of Zayn and Owens. Now, let's look at what we really hear them saying. So if you take a step back to the week before the McMahons came out and made this "we're running the show together" rah-rah speech, right? They had Seth Rollins come out and basically air the grievances of the fans and blame them on Baron Corbin, right? They had said everything that we all say week after week. The show's boring. There's too many tag team matches. We watch the same matches over and over again. They were letting you know that they hear us by letting Seth come out and say that. And they figured Seth was the perfect person because he's one of our darlings, right? We all love Seth Rollins. So they figure if Seth comes out, he speaks for the crowd, then at the end of the day, they'll know that we'll know that they hear us. Well, okay, great, you hear us. Then the first thing that they do is basically release 2 programs about change, which didn't really show any change. Now, it's only been a week, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Hope that there's a little bit more involved here, but let's be real. Let's pump our brakes for a minute. Right now, all they've done is show us that they're willing to throw some throwaways from NXT up to the main roster and put themselves more on television time because Vince McMahon believes that at the end of the day, the key to get more ratings is to put Vince McMahon back on television. Yes, partially true. People tune in when Vince McMahon's on TV. But if he's going to keep coming on TV week after week, that's going to lose its luster as well. So I'm very curious to see what happens over the next couple weeks. I'm very curious to see how they position Zayn and Owens when they return. I'm curious to see the debuts of the NXT talent and how they're treated upon coming to the main roster. Look, this is all happening on the road to WrestleMania, right? They know that they're running into some pretty big issues and coming up against some pretty big competition from AEW. They know that Ring of Honor's got the Garden Show, to which they booked their own event on a different day so that they didn't compete with Ring of Honor in New Japan. When the hell, in what world, does that even remotely happen 2-3 years ago? They know. They know that there's a movement going on. They know that the indies are starting to make a resurgence, and Vince does not want that. So as he puts it, if WWE wants to say then, now, and forever, they have to listen to their fans. So, will we see guys like Finn Balor return to prominence? Will we see guys like and be the Prince Devitt that we know he should be? Will we see guys like Gallows and Anderson start to get featured on programming? Will, Daniel Bryan and AJ are killing it, so I can't really say anything there, but will Shinsuke start to return to form? Will Samoa Joe return to form? The talent is already there. They don't need to infuse anything, and if they are going to infuse it, it's got to be the best talent. The Tommaso Ciampas, the Johnny Garganos, the Adam Coles. The talent is already there on the main roster. The problem is who they're featuring and how they're featuring the talent that they do have. So that's it, folks. That's my thought on the entire McMahon refresh, starting from scratch. I will say one more thing, actually. I like that they called Mustafa Ali up as a main roster person. It shows that people from 205 Live can transition over to the product as well. Just one other segue that I wanted to include in there. And also, I like that they gave Tyler Breeze an Intercontinental title shot and let him take Dean Ambrose to the limit. Because again, that is something that shows us, that you hear us, that guys like Tyler Breeze do deserve an opportunity. So, let's see how the next couple weeks go. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you agree with me? Do you think right now this is a smoke show? You let me know. I want to hear from you in the comments below. In the meantime, I ask you to please like the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Leave comments. I always respond. I love to have conversations with you. Dave will be back. He is in New York City wandering around. Yes, I'm in New York. I know. I'll see him at some point this week. But Dave is in New York City wandering around. His son's actually going to go for a Make-A-Wish with John Cena. Kyle and I are scheduled to reconnect this week. So the boys will be back on the channel. But until then, it is your boy Charlie. I'm looking forward to talking to you again next time. You guys have a great night. Bye.